I'm Rita Cavanaugh, the Chief Magistrate Judge in Spalding County. I've been the Chief Magistrate here since 1997, when I was elected as Chief. Prior to that, I was a magistrate since the magistrate system went into effect July 1 of 1983. Prior to that, I was a Justice of the Peace in the Union Militia District here in Spalding County. So I've been in the system for 37 years now. Needless to say, I've seen a lot and I've heard a lot. I really enjoy my job. I enjoy what I do. I've dealt with a lot of situations here in the county, a lot of people, a lot of different generations from families through the years. The magistrate court is a court of limited jurisdiction, meaning that we're limited on the type cases that we can handle. We handle civil cases where the jurisdiction of the money amount does not exceed $15,000. We handle suits, personal property foreclosures, garnishments, and abandoned motor vehicles. We also handle dispossessory proceedings, which are tenant-landlord proceedings. Lately, we've been doing a lot of set-outs on mortgage foreclosures because, as everyone knows, we have a lot of mortgage foreclosures, not only in this county, but in all the other counties. So we do the set-outs on those when the mortgage company forecloses on the property and has to get the prior property owner off the property. We handle those dispossessory proceedings. We handle distress proceedings. Distress proceedings are also related to tenant-landlord relationships, and those are actually prejudgment attachments, where the tenant is attempting to vacate the property, owing rent. The landlord can get a distress proceeding against the tenant to keep the tenant from removing any properties or any of their belongings from the property until the money amount is settled in the courts. Now, on tenant-landlord proceedings and distress proceedings, we're not limited to the $15,000 that we're limited to on other civil cases. We can handle those cases up to any amount. We issue have filings of probably about 5,000 civil cases a year. We also handle criminal cases. We issue the criminal arrest warrants, misdemeanors, felonies, probably about 5,000 of those a year, maybe a little more. We issue the search warrants. We issue good behavior warrants. Good behavior warrants are quasi-civil criminal proceedings, sort of like a restraining order, but they don't have the clout or the duration of a restraining order that comes out of Superior Court. They're only good for 6 months. We handle bad check citations. If someone writes a check and it comes back account closed, non-sufficient funds, we handle those cases on citation, and our court actually tries those cases. We do the arraignments, we do the trials, we do the sentencing. Also, we handle the county ordinance violations in the county for any violation of a county ordinance, or traffic, no through trucks, zoning, building, animal control cases, fire, burning, illegal burning. We handle all those cases, and we do the trials and sentencing on those. We handle probably about 10,000 filings a year, and we conduct about 15,000 hearings a year. The hearings would be, of course, the civil hearings, the pre-warrant hearings. If an individual wants to take a warrant, we have to put it down for a hearing. Now, law enforcement does not go down for a hearing. We go ahead and do the warrant. We handle all the bond hearings when a person is arrested, particularly on a felony or any case involving violence. Even if it's a misdemeanor, if it involves violence, we do the bonds on those. And I'm going to try to show you in a few minutes how we do those through video conferencing. And I'll explain that system to you in a few minutes. We set the bonds. We also do the preliminary hearings. The preliminary hearings we do at the jail on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And those are on the felony cases or the violent cases, even if it's a misdemeanor, simple battery, where a person's in jail and they can't bond. We go out to the county jail, and we actually do the probable cause hearing on those, where we look at the evidence and determine if the evidence is strong enough to bind that case over for trial, either to the state court or superior court. If the evidence is strong enough to bind it over for trial, of course we bind it over. If it's not, we could dismiss it. We could also bind over on different charges or additional charges than the charges that are before us at the hearing. We have we have 12 employees in this office. There's myself. I have 3 associate magistrate judges. I have 2 constables. I have a chief clerk, who is Rita Mena. I have 2 clerk 2s who are deputized, and 3 clerk 1s. So we have 6 clerks in the office. Our office is open 365 days a year. On holidays, on weekends, we have somebody in the office to do warrants and to conduct bond hearings. And the reason that we do that is so that no one has to sit in jail for an unreasonable period of time waiting for a warrant or a bond. If I had a policy that my office was closed all weekend or on a holiday weekend for 3 days without being able to get a warrant or do a bond on someone, then of course that would open us up for a federal lawsuit, which we certainly don't want that to happen. So we're open 365 days a year, always have someone here, a judge. No clerks work on them. I'm going to give you these. Don't forget them when you leave, because those are brochures that, well, actually, if you want to film this, you can. Is it on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. These are some brochures that I'm going to let you take with you. I have a lot of school groups that come through the office, 4-H and leadership groups, and I always try to give the children, and particularly, the brochures. These are put out by the Administrative Office of the Courts, and they're on the courts. It's a very good brochure. It sort of explains the court system in simple terms and explains what each court does, the various courts in the state. I also give them one of the Georgia courts, Guide to Georgia Courts, which is a little more detailed and a little more away from the school-age kids, but I always try to give them these 2 brochures when they come through, and they're very helpful. So I'm going to let you take those when you leave. Don't forget them. We're going to start over here on the criminal side. We have a criminal division and we have a civil division. And this is the criminal division. This is Miss June.
Hey,
June
how are you?
Rainey. June is our calendar clerk. She sets up all the hearings for us. She does a little bit of everything. Actually, everybody does a little bit of everything. But she primarily does our calendars, gets us ready to go to jail on Tuesdays and Thursdays if we have to. And she sends out all the summonses and notifies all the law enforcement officers and makes sure everybody's where they need to be when they need to be there.
Which is what I'm doing right now.
Which is what she's doing right now. This is Miss Ginger. She's on the phone.
Melinda
obviously,
and
case. She's working on a case here. I don't know what she's setting up, but she's setting up something. That's Ginger Lewis. Ginger handles our bad check court and our county ordinance court. And back here in the corner is Rhonda Mena.
Hey, how are you?
Rhonda is the clerk of the magistrate court, the chief clerk. She does all the financial and pretty well makes sure that everything runs smooth in the office, and she does a good job.
Thank you.
She's been with us a long time. We're going to go back now to the video, what we call the video conference room. This is where we do electronic warrants and video conference hearings. When we're set up connected to the Spalding County Jail. They've got 2 systems out there. We're connected to the police department. They've got 2 systems. Spalding County Narcotics has 1 system. We're also connected to the GBI. They can come in through our electronic warrant system and get warrants if they need to. They've been approved to do that. You can see the camera over here. So when we're doing a warrant, they put the information in, they call us up, we come back, we get on the computer, we can see them, they can see us, and we go over the warrant, we actually sign off on it, and we print the original right there on the printer. When we're doing bonds, we would do the bonds the same way. We've got an office at the county jail. They take the inmates that need a bond set, they take them before the camera out there, and they can see us, we can see them. We go over their charges with them, advise them of their rights, make sure they understand their rights, and then we set a bond on them. If they're bondable. If they're not bondable, of course they're not going to get a bond. We're going to refer them to Superior Court. But that's where we do those, and hopefully you'll get to see Judge McDowell will do those bonds in just a few minutes. All right, let's go to the civil side over here. This is our civil division, and this is where everyone would come in to file civil papers. This is Linda McPherson. She is a deputy clerk too, and she sort of makes sure everything in the civil division runs smoothly.
Yes.
Zini Torres. She's a clerk over here, and she's handling right now. She's handling the suits. You're handling suits, Zini?
Yes.
Okay. Pat Hood. Pat primarily handles the dispos.
Yes,
And
I
we
do.
have a lot of those. However, they're not restricted to just dispos or suits. All three of them do a little bit of everything.
Yes. Yes.
And you can see they're busy, and you can look at the papers and see that they have a lot of filings come through. This is a small hearing room. When we're conducting civil hearings, we would do the hearings in here, and if there are a lot of litigants, a lot of attorneys, a lot of witnesses, we'll use one of the big courtrooms, which is state court or superior court room. But generally, when we're doing the civil cases, we do not have many players, so we're able to do those hearings in here in the small room. And most people feel very comfortable in the small room, more comfortable than in the large courtrooms. This is Judge Harris's office. He's not here. This is Judge Gregory. Judge Ann Gregory. Ann's been a judge here since '99. Prior to that, she was our chief clerk. Started with the court, I believe, in '83. Is that correct? '82. So she's been here a long time. Not quite as long as I have, but for a long time. And she's one of our judges. She handles our abandoned motor vehicles. Abandoned motor vehicles are proceedings where if a car is left at a repair shop, or it's towed and it's not claimed, the bill's not paid, the person that has possession of it can file an abandoned motor vehicle and actually end up with the vehicle. Be able to get a clear title, but they have to jump through all the hoops and make sure the paperwork's done properly. She does all of those, and we have quite a few of them.
Yeah. More than enough.
And she does a lot of other things too. She issues warrants and conducts hearings, but one of her primary jobs is abandoned motor vehicles.
Thank you.
That's the constable's office, and they're out serving papers. Aha. This is Judge McDowell, Brennan McDowell. And Brennan is our newest judge here. He started with us in January of this year. Prior to that, he was in private law practice up the street. And we're just tickled to death to have him. He's doing a good job. He's doing everything, actually. But he's doing a lot of civil hearings, a lot of civil cases, issuing warrants. Judge McDowell, could you give us a little input about what you expected with the magistrate court when you came here, and what you've actually experienced with the magistrate court, how it's actually been different than you thought it would be?
Well, and I had practiced in this court a little bit beforehand, but definitely not, mostly on the civil side, a little bit on the criminal side, not very much. But I had no idea of really the amount of work that went through this court, and the breadth of the types of things that the court handles. Everything from civil cases, and there are various kinds, from the regular civil suits to dispossessories, garnishments, foreclosures, all those sorts of things on the civil side. Plus, on the criminal side, the issuing of the warrants, the pre-warrant hearings when folks from the community, not law enforcement officers, come in and actually want a warrant issued for somebody else's arrest. The hearings that we have to go through for those things. And let's see, bonds, initial appearance hearings, preliminary hearings, bond reconsiderations, bond reductions, and requests for bonds, most of which the boss handles. And then the boss also does all of the county ordinance violations. In fact, I think she's doing a bunch of those this afternoon. Arraignments for county ordinance violations, plus bad checks, extraditions. Did I leave anything out? There's probably a bunch more stuff. It's a very busy court with a pretty broad jurisdiction, and I've actually found it a lot more interesting even than I thought I would, because of the different things that come up every day. It's something new, something different. I've been practicing law for about 6 years when I came on here, and I like private law practice. It was something new every day. It's been something new every day here too. There's been a lot of opportunities to learn new things, and I've really appreciated that. That's kept it very interesting, and I've got to do a lot of things. There are a few things that I haven't been able to do yet, but I'm sure there'll be time for that in the future. So very glad to be here. Very wonderful community, and I've been gratified to work with so many people. This team in this court has just really impressed me, and the team that the boss has pulled together, and as well as working with defense counsel and law enforcement officers and prosecutors. Very impressive, very impressive.
Judge McDowell mentioned extraditions, and that was something that I didn't point out earlier. This court actually handles waivers of extradition. When someone's wanted on a warrant from another state and they're picked up by Spalding County, we actually do the first hearing on them, and if they want to waive extradition, waive the formal extradition proceedings, in other words, the governor's warrant before they're sent back to that state, then they do that waiver before us. We fill out all the paperwork. There is a volume of paperwork that has to go with those proceedings, and we have to make sure that the paperwork gets to the people that it needs to go to. We have to send to the Superior Court judge, to the sheriff's office, to the governor's office of extradition, to the demanding state, and we always give the defendant a copy of the waiver of extradition also. But if they sign a waiver, they go back voluntarily. If they don't sign a waiver, then I do a commitment order on them to hold them for up to 30 days at the county jail to allow the demanding state to get a governor's warrant through their governor's office that goes through our governor's office, and then the person is sent back to that demanding state, whether they want to go or not. But we do handle those cases also. I certainly hope that this information has been helpful to the public and to you, Mr. Bob. As you can see, the Magistrate Court is a busy court. We're very diverse in what we do. We certainly operate very differently from the other courts because of when someone files something in this court, it's all processed in this court. There's very seldom do we have a nice, neat package brought in to be filed. Our girls have to actually prepare most of the documents that are prepared based off of someone's affidavit. Of course, we have those documents in the computer, so they're generated in the computer, but we have to put the information in. As you can see, I have a very good office staff. I couldn't do what I do without my staff. They are the backbone of this office, and I appreciate them. I appreciate the opportunity to be the Chief Magistrate and to have been in office as long as I have.